I was a hidden treasure, and I wished to be loved and to be known. This is the manifestation of the hadith that we are experiencing today. And the International Kenan el-Rifai Symposium had a very diverse program between the dates of 29th of May to the 31st, which, thank God, has reached the ninth and final session. And even though I am not at all entitled or in a position of ever presenting them in whichever way possible, I will be reading the words of Kenan el-Rifai to introduce them to you. And the words of them are in the page 287. I would like to mention it as a help to our interpreters. 29th of May 1453 is the conquest of Istanbul. God be content with them. We have been in the tomb of Merkez Müslihiddin Musa Efendi Hazretleri on that very day, on Friday, on 29th of May 2015. We have entered the door of grace, opening on the day of conquest, and for the last 3 days we had the joy and ecstasy of a great festival and a wedding. Let God allow us to have their breath and life in our own lives. And everybody knows Hazreti Merkez Efendi has 2 short anecdotes that I want to share with you here, that I will link to Hazreti Kenan afterwards. And when the students were picking up daisies in a field, one of them brings a dried chamomile, a dried daisy, and he says, I have seen all the flowers in zikr, reciting the name of God, so I couldn't bring myself to pick them. This one was dry, that is why I could only bring this to you. And the Hoja asks, if God Almighty's power of creation were given to you, what would you have done? One says, I would create only the good ones. One says, I would create more of the good ones. And then the word comes to Müslihiddin Merkez, and he says, when a bad died, I would create another bad. And when a good died, I will create another good, because that's the order of God. I would not divert the will and order of God. That is how he was named with the nickname of Merkez, the center. The issue is about being an Ehli Tawheed at the center, with total surrender, holding on to that center. Now that we always talk of Mevlana, let us be holding on to that center. That is what my will and intention is. Our Murshid has said, let you open yourself from the truth. You will find the true path. There might be some decaying or hurting suspicions that might come to you. You will be losing, and try to take your part. Try to fill the container of your heart while the flood of grace and mercy is pouring over you. Because if you wait for the perfect one, there will be no container left for you. Know that the discourse and the sohbet of the erenler, hak erenler, is their light. See the spiritual nur, the holy nur in their eyes, reflected in their presence and being. The first presentation will be by Professor Sachiko Murata and Professor Dr. William Chittick. And they will be talking about the Islam religion and the one of the most prominent scholars of Tasawwuf. And we shall not only benefit from their works and experience of their life, but we will also learn what will they say with the vision of Kenan el-Rifai. Sachiko Murata is an Islamic research expert, and she worked in the Beijing University in the Muslim Confucians, and the main issues of Islamic thought were her topics of teaching in that university. And a major scholar, Huri, from the Mevlana school, and with Professor Chittick and Daiwan Yu, was what they have used as reading material. And William Chittick is a researcher of Islam, and he has authored many works, and he was also a professor. He also worked as a professor of Islam in Beijing University for a year in 2012, and he has studied the works and approaches of major mutasawwifs, and both of them have have come from New York Stony Brook University. And I would like to share one witnessing that I have had with them. And Sachiko, after the North Carolina branch was opened, she visited them, and Sachiko found out about the speech in North Carolina by our Hoja, Jamal Nur Hoja, and she gets too excited and says, whatever needs to be done for that thought, let us do it, and I'm ready for all sorts of help. What did Miss Jamal Nur said in Chapel Hill in the opening ceremony?
Ki efendim bizim bu
at the opening of the chair, and she said we have to expand this work in all parts of the world. We have to start new chairs in all the universities. And Ibn Arabi tells us that the last perfected human, insan-ı kamil, will manifest, and we have to do it even in China, she said. And of course we took it for real. We said, of course, whatever our Hoja says shall manifest and realize. So we said, of course, and we took it very normally. But other people who don't know her that well said, what are you talking about, a chair in China? And they didn't understand it. But later, talking with Professor Chittick, and we had the relationships with China, and it has become a reality afterwards. So Professor Murata and Professor Chittick will now give their presentation about importance of tasawwuf in Chinese Islam. The podium is yours, Professor.